Gerry, thanks very much for joining us. The first of what will be quite regular updates, I think, from the board at the Foundation of Hearts. Just firstly, why do you think this level of communication is important for the Foundation?
Well, we took quite a lot of feedback over the course of recent months, and in particular through the recent election process that we had, which was very clear from all the Foundation members. We want to hear more about what the Foundation is doing. We want to learn more about how our money's being spent. We want to know what's on the horizon and what's exciting, and we want to know what role the Foundation is playing in making Hearts strong and even stronger. So we committed to doing that through that process. We've heard what people have said, and we're 100% determined to deliver on it over the course of this year.
You mentioned the election process there back in December with the AGM, and you've got two new board members in Claire Hammond and Gary Locke. Tell us a little bit about what their role and what their experience is going to bring to the board.
I think both of them have already brought a huge amount of kind of fresh enthusiasm, a fresh perspective, and quite a lot of skills and knowledge. I mean, everybody knows Gary. He is Mr. Hearts. That absolutely died in the World Jambo. He knows so much about the club, and I think he brings a really good perspective to the Foundation board, because as well as understanding how the club works and what it's like in the dressing room and what the players are feeling and what they need, he also, because he's a fan and he's with fans every day and he's with sponsors every day, he understands the entire range of all of our stakeholders. And I think that's a really invaluable perspective that we've got, so that we can, as we plan for what more we do, we can take all of that on board. Claire's got a very skilled business background, but is an enormously dedicated and energetic member of the team as well. So she's brought like a huge amount of enthusiasm and energy. So she's put a bit of a rocket up all of us, to be quite honest, and has got us moving on a lot of stuff around communications and events. So it's great to have both of them on board.
And yourself, obviously, re-elected as well. How important was that for you to get another term sort of at the top table of the Foundation?
Yeah, I'm really delighted to be re-elected, because I felt like there was plenty of unfinished business. I think we've made great progress over the course of the last number of years that I've been on board as a club. I think I like to think that I've played a really strong role in kind of taking the Foundation into the board of the club. I think there's a lot more that needs to be done. It feels to me like we're on the cusp of some really exciting stuff as well. I guess we can talk more about that. But it's felt to me like a lot of the progress and development that we have behind the scenes hasn't necessarily been seen or appreciated, and in many ways, because I think the Foundation has got two really important roles to play. Okay, one is to channel the support of the members and the financial support of members into the club, to allow that extra bit of money and that extra contribution that they make to make a difference on the pitch in particular. But also it's got a role to be a really responsible long-term stakeholder for the club. And I guess that's two things. One is listening to fans and representing their wishes, but also thinking long-term and strategically. And we all get excited as football fans, but I think we're trying to think beyond the excitement of the next match or even the season, thinking long-term what the future of this club means. And it's been really important to me to feel like I can continue to help the Foundation and the club to work really well together, because I think there's a lot of really good stuff on the horizon.
Absolutely. I mean, talking about the board structure more generally, then obviously Claire has joined, and she's now the fan representative on the club board with yourself. But just sort of in a wider scope, what is the board of the Foundation looking like just now, and what are the sort of roles, I suppose, that are attributed around the boardroom?
Well, just in terms of the membership of the board, there's 7 of us, 7 elected directors, plus we have 1 associate director in the shape of Gary Halliday. And Gary's, people will know Gary very well as the kind of the long-term stalwart, and he's been the man that's kind of been at the heart of the Foundation for a very long time. I think we have a number of different roles. So we have Paul, who looks after the accounts. We have Gary, who's looking after members' affairs. We have another Gary who is looking after legal and the secretarial requirements of the club. There's myself, as the chair, and then others have got various different roles to look after driving the activities of the foundation, and we take it in turns, and we each contribute to various different elements of communication, running events, and planning the kind of the growth activities. So we like to share the work out around us all.
Speaking, obviously we've spoken about the board there, but there's a much wider group of volunteers involved with the Foundation of Hearts as well. And obviously one thing that you mentioned right at the top there was about the comms process and how that's all going to change. And there's been a bit of a reshaping, hasn't there? There's now an operations team sort of looking after the marketing and comms side of things. Can you expand a little bit on what they're doing?
Yeah, so we've long had a cadre of volunteers who were supported our plot ceremonies, who supported some of our marketing activities, who helped us manage data, who helped us manage communications. And a number of them will be well known to foundation pledgers. The likes of James Sluggy, who looks after our social media and so on. And we've now found a way to try and organise those into two different teams, one with a focus on events, one with a focus on other operations, to be able to make sure that we have the best discipline possible and the best focus possible to allow us to deliver as much as we possibly can.
We're going to be starting to deliver things a bit more regularly. FAQs, obviously, we do get an awful lot of questions at the foundation, so FAQs going onto the website and a digital newsletter as well. So just various different ways as well as sort of chats like this, just to keep the fans updated. Yeah,
so there's, as well as reorganising all our resources to make sure that we organise ourselves with best effect. We're updating the website to make sure that all of the regular questions that we get can be easily answered, because there's lots of questions that come to us that are quite repetitive. It's clear people want to understand the foundation a little bit better, understand what where their money is spent a bit better, understand what it is we plan to do a bit better, understand how we interact with the club very clearly, and so we'll improve the quality of the information that we've got there so people understand how we work. We've also we're going to step up a lot of the communication in terms of the digital newsletter, which we do, which is, will expand from the kind of the intermittent chairman's reports that I do to a more comprehensive and regular digital newsletter. We're obviously doing these kind of updates, and I will do that on a regular basis. I think I'll involve other directors in it as well, because we've got directors that are much more photogenic than me, and they deserve to be seen, and they'll talk a lot more sense than me. We'll improve the communication channels that we can be reached by, so make it clear which email addresses we can be reached by. And I think one of the interesting things that we're doing as well is starting some pub nights, which is just an informal open evening where we'll have a number of the directors of the foundation and other volunteers and other people who support us, some of the legends and so on, who will just be there for a drop-in. No big agenda, no formal presentations, nothing like that, but we'll be there to be able to listen to the suggestions and the ideas of our members and to be able to answer questions as well.
On top of that as well, there's going to be some more sort of members-only events. We saw last season a 90 minutes with the coaching staff, but there's going to be more things coming out in the next few weeks and months. Can you tell us a little bit more about what we can expect to see?
We've got a number of events planned which will be exclusive for foundation members, because I think we want to continue to bring a bit of value to being a foundation member, and we've got access to the club and we've got access to the people at the club, and I think it's important that foundation members we do our best to help them stay as informed as we possibly can. So there's a few events that are already in train now. We've got, I think, an already sold out Boys in Maroon event, which has got a number of legends and a bit more talk through the heritage. We're going to continue the plot ceremonies that we've got planned over the course of this year as well. And we're going to have another couple of the 90 minutes with sessions, which we had a really successful one last year. But we'll do one, first of all, in April with Graham Jones, and then in May with Andrew Webster, to talk about, each of their respective areas of kind of footballing expertise. I think Graham's one's going to be a really hot ticket. Everybody wants to understand. Graham's a pretty low-profile guy, but he's incredibly interesting, as you'll know, and he's got a lot to say. So I think that's going to be a really important event for us to be able to allow pledgers to. And with Andrew Webster as well, there's so much information around everything that's exciting that's going on in the academy. He's doing some great work. So again, allowing people to be able to access those critical members of the Hearts team, I think is going to be really exciting.
I think you mentioned Graham Jones there. We'll start talking more about the football side of things and the exciting things that obviously have gone on in the last couple of months and potentially on the horizon as well. One of them being Jamestown Analytics. Tony Bloom, what can you tell us from a foundation point of view about the Jamestown deal that's come in and the potential investment of Tony Bloom as well?
So there's probably a limited amount that I can say in public. Some things that are already out there. The deal that we have with Jamestown Analytics, I think, is a complete game changer for us, and actually I think it's a game changer for Scottish football. In some ways I feel like we've now got the cheat codes for football. So we can already see the impact that their influence has had on identifying a head coach, on identifying new players for the January transfer window. I know that they're already working on the summer transfer window. So that's incredibly exciting. It's kind of mind-blowing how good the insights that they're getting. And sometimes it's been interesting to watch reactions to Neil Critchley's appointment, and then also to player recruitment as well, because sometimes people are a little bit nonplussed by, really, is this what it's telling us? Whereas the reality is, if you've got analysis which is telling you what is not obvious to the naked eye, but rather it's telling you something deeper and much more meaningful, then we can probably expect some surprises in terms of that recruitment, because it's all about seeing things that other people don't see. So that's tremendously exciting. And then having somebody like Tony Bloom interested in us as a club, I think is, I use the word exciting an awful lot, but I think this is, again, something indicative of where Hearts are and the momentum that we have behind us. This is a guy who's incredibly astute, who loves his football, who's really interested in shaking things up and doing something different, and who's got a track record of allowing football clubs to completely outperform what you would otherwise expect. And I think having him involved with the club can only be a really good thing.
You mentioned there the hiring of Neil Critchley. Obviously, I think he's 5 months into the job now, and just the sort of Jamestown side of things generally. How involved are the foundation in those processes when it comes to manager recruitment and big deals being signed for and by the club?
Yeah, so having 2 members of the foundation board on the board of the club means that we have got a seat at the top table for all of the big decisions. And I wouldn't underestimate the role that the foundation plays in shaping those big decisions. For anybody who's been involved in a board, if you have your biggest shareholder represented at your board table, they have enormous influence. And so the foundation does have huge influence and impact on all the decisions that are made. I think sometimes there's misperceptions about the fact that, you've only got 2, you don't have a majority, therefore you're not dominating and others can outvote you. It's not the way boards work. We almost never have a vote. I think if a board is making all its decisions by a show of hands, then it's probably not an effective board. Things are much better done by consensus, and that's the way that it has been. I personally have been involved in the nominations committee, that final selection committee that was being involved in that recruitment for Neil Critchley. Andrew Brown was the other director as well at that time, and Andrew was deeply involved in the discussions with Jamestown as well. So the foundation is absolutely deeply involved. Now, what we can't do is go out and talk at length about exactly what the foundation is doing. We can't go out and talk about our views on things, because we do our business behind closed doors, and the business of the club board in particular is really confidential. But I think foundation members can be reassured that we are taking that long-term view in relation to what's successful for the club, and I hope that people can see that it looks like it's bearing fruit.
Speaking more generally about the Foundation of Hearts, the importance that the Foundation of Hearts has here at the football club. I mean, tell us a little bit about the difference that the fans are making and can make on the pitch and off the pitch as well with their pledges.
Yeah, well, quite simply, if you look at the amount of money that we've pledged, over £18 million over the course of the existence of the foundation, the stand that we're sitting in at the minute wouldn't exist without the foundation. We couldn't have done what we've done at Oriam without the foundation. The club wouldn't exist without the foundation. So, you know, at a big and macro level, the role the foundation has played has just guaranteed our existence as a club. Then on a week by week or month by month basis, I mean, I think we do intend to actually share a little bit more information about exactly where our pledges go. But whenever you consider that we're somewhere in the region between 8 and 10%, depending on the income of the club, of the annual income, between 8 and 10% of everything that the club spends money on, that means we can make a really significant difference in terms of the product on the pitch and the fan experience. Success in football is largely entirely correlated with income. I think that's been completely true in Scottish football. We probably want to try and break that. But in the meantime, I think every penny that goes into the foundation goes straight to the club. The foundation doesn't retain anything other than just the pure expenses of our systems to collect the money, and everything that we spend goes entirely on the infrastructure of the club and the product on the pitch, and it does make a difference.
And just finally then, maybe the hardest or easiest question, depending on how you want to look at it, what are the aims, what are the goals for this current board of the foundation? AGM's behind us now. What are you looking to achieve in the next year, 2 years, 5 years?
There's probably three things that I think I'd like this board to achieve over the course of this year. First is on our pledger numbers. We want to continue to grow our pledger base. I think we want to allow many more fans to feel like donating to the foundation is a really important thing. We will pass the £19 million donated mark, and I'd like us to be well on the way to achieving the £20 million threshold. Second thing is, I think making sure that we land this Tony Bloom deal in a way that really works for everybody, all the stakeholders concerned, in a way which Hearts fans can see and foundation members can see is a really positive thing for the club. I'd like to get that delivered. And the third thing is, I'd like the foundation pledgers to really feel like the sport has done a good job for them, that we've listened to what it is that they want, that we've continued to deliver that, and we've made good judgments about making sure that the club is going in the right direction for the long term. I think we can do that.
Perfect. Gerry, thanks very much.
Thank you. Cheers.